A lot of times we feel like we're waiting for some kind of permission. Nope, not this year. Take initiative. If it's possible for you. Welcome to the next octave of your life. Year of Radical Renewal. Oh my God, we're here. Hi. So in the bio I gave Jason, I said, we've been doing this about 20 years, but when I look back, this is my 20th year of doing this. Yeah, it started in 2006, about a handful of years after I started astrology. And the first public forecast I did, people didn't really get it, didn't want to come, so it was free, so it was kind of hard to get people to come. But then over time, we sort of gathered a following, and it's been a bit harder over the last 5 years to actually synthesize and distill everything that's going on in the world and put it in a form that can be understood. So those of you that have been supporting me for 20 years, I see some of you that have come year after year, thank you so much for the support. And those of you that are here for the very first time, perhaps you got dragged into this, or I know a couple people were sick and others came in their place. I really think that if you're here tonight, you're meant to be here. And I've worked really hard on tonight's program, and I'm so excited to be able to share it with you. So normally, when we go into a new year, it's kind of exciting. It's a new year. But this is a year unlike any other. This is a year where the frequency is higher, the vibe is really different, and this is a year that won't really push you forward, it will lift you forward. So what I'm hoping to do by the end of our talk today is really distill what's happening and give you a little bit of insight into this year. So, welcome to the next octave of your life. I titled this year the Year of Radical Renewal because it's not just a regular renewal, it is a radical renewal. And it's not just stepping into a new year, it's stepping into a new cycle, a new doorway. I'm even going to say a new era. So this is a year that I've been talking about for many, many years, and here we are. So I called it an octave. Those of you that know music know that an octave is basically 8 notes higher. And just to distill it, so it's when a note rises to the same tone, but at a higher vibration, and the melody is elevated to a new level of expression. So in 2026, this is the beginning of a quantum rise into the higher octave of your life. So when we enter something, we start planting seeds for the next cycle. So this is where we're at. You are literally standing on the precipice of a year that everything that you do this year will really set the tone for the upcoming years. This is an image. Anybody remember being here 2020? We did this. This is a slide I showed in this year, and I said, the year of manifestation promises great galactic intensity that will assist us in making necessary changes in our life. Little did I know that 2 months later we would enter the pandemic. And this is a picture that people were texting me saying, oh my God, did you know? No, I didn't know. And that's the thing I wanted to make clear. I don't do predictions. We're not predicting anything. I'm just talking about cycles, themes, storylines. And it's been 6 years since I've done this live. We've been doing it online for the past 5 years. So it's a little bit awkward to be here. Okay, so there's always a purpose when I come together. So tonight I want to inform you of the energetic themes so you can be in tune with 2026 and beyond. I want to help you see order where you may think none exists. And finally, give you a solid plan of action to make this a fantastic year. We always have the best intentions when a year starts and then it kind of dwindles off. If you felt like it's been heavy or stagnant or you've been trying to move things forward and it's been a little tough, this is a different kind of a year, and I'm going to show you why. We are literally at the threshold of a new era. So from 2025, moving into 2026, we're stepping into this new era. And if we look at the dictionary, what is an era? It's a point in time from which a series of years take on a distinct period of history. So we're all here today. Hopefully we live another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. When we look back, we will say, wow, 2026, yep, so much happened. So exponential change, this is something I started talking about in 2020. Those of you that have been coming yearly, you've seen this every single year. And it always ends with this exponential curve, like ending. Somebody even said, like, what do we do? Do we go to the moon? Because the arrow is pointing up. What I never talked about was what comes after this curve ends. And so I'm going to show you. So if you are familiar with the word paradigm, we talk about paradigms. This is simply the rules that we follow. Things should be this way. This is the way things should be. So paradigms start and they sort of gain momentum as we go up. So this is what I was showing you, the exponential curve. Now, at the very end, when something new is happening, it's happening silently. So the second curve is on the bottom, and this is what I've been talking about for so long, that something new is coming. I've been talking about AI since 2017. I've been showing you this curve from 2020, and at the bottom of the curve, this is where conspiracy theories live. This is where people say, no, that's not the way it should be, or hey, I don't want this to happen, so I'm going to just ignore it. Well, this is where paradigm shifts happen, and we're right here. We're already into the new paradigm. So those of you that have been following me know that I've been talking about this for so long. So we're entering a new paradigm shift. To give you a better understanding, think about a time when you used to use cameras to take pictures, and you would print them on photo paper. Kodak didn't realize a paradigm shift was happening with digital cameras. Within 18 months, their stock went 90% less because everyone was using digital cameras. Think of Blockbuster. All along, these streaming platforms, Netflix, all of those were happening, but what happened? They said, no, people are still gonna go and rent videos, but what happened? All of a sudden, everyone went to streaming. Where are the Blockbusters? We don't see them. So paradigm shifts, things are happening, and this is what I wanna show you today. I've been naming the years every year. The year of this, the year of that. Last year, I called the year of reimagined paradigms simply because we have to have already started reimagining what the year is going to bring. So 2026, the year of radical renewal. It could have just been the year of renewal, but it's radical renewal. Things are moving, things are shifting, and the world is shifting with or without you. So whether you agree what's going on or not, whether you like what's going on or not, you'll not be able to help but live in the reality that we are accelerating very quickly into today. So here's the essence of 2026. And some of these will go fast, not to speed up and so you can't get it, just so you can get the idea of it, because there's a lot to cover. So there's upsides and downsides. I'm always going to talk about both sides. So on the upside, this year, catalyzing, accelerated, energizing, evolutionary, breakthrough-oriented, renewing. Downside, we're going to continue to see disruption, chaos, might feel overwhelmed with all the changes, volatile, pressuring, unstable. That's the essence. The biggest question I get is, oh my gosh, please tell me that everything going on in the world is just going to stop. You know, please. I just can't stand what's happening out there. I'm going to say we're dealing with the same issues. That is still happening. And to detail it, what continues? All of this. We see it. This continues. But that's happening out there. What today is about is what's happening in here for you. There's numerous opportunities in 2026, even with all that's going on in the world, to flourish individually and collectively. So today's program, part 1, we are going to talk about some numerology. I'm going to talk about the symbol of 2026. I started doing symbols in 2021 because in 2021 it was the year after the pandemic, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's the symbol? And I picked the lotus, right? Do you guys know about the lotus? It grows from really like muddy, like icky ground, very, very like icky ground, but it's so beautiful. So I was like, oh, that's the symbol. So I have a symbol for this year. We're going to talk about the elements, astrology, human design, something I'm bringing in that I haven't talked about before, and of course the Chinese Zodiac. I know we have fire horses here tonight, so we'll be talking about you guys. We'll take a very short break. And then with part 2, what I'm going to talk about is AI, technology, and the future of humanity and how all of this is really impacting us. And of course, usual guidance for 2026. For those of you that are new, we always have a few people that are new. So just to go quickly, I talk about numerology. I'm bringing in elements, astrology, and Chinese astrology. And this time for the first year, I'm bringing in a new modality that I've not talked about before called human design. What fascinates me is every single discipline or modality that I use all point to the same thing. Every year, you're going to see all of this intersect into the same vibe, into the same theme. So at the end of the year, when you look back on 2026 and you look at this, you'll be like, so interesting. Like, how do we know? There is some connection between humans and planets and forces and all of that. So this really helps me to understand the vibe of the year. Like, what's up? Almost like a weather forecast. All right. So numerology is basically something that reveals cycles that shape the collective experience. So this is the collective. These are we, the people. What's happening out there? So 2026, it's a universal number of 1. Now, how do we get that? You add the numbers of the year together. Every year, you can add the number of the years, and you can kind of get the vibe. So this is a 1 year. Now, 1, the collective atmosphere of the world is the one, and it brings in the birth of new paradigms. So this is the beginning. And in numerology, we go to 9. And the reason I called it an octave, because there's 8 steps to get to 9. So the next octave, you're just planting seeds. So if we go to numerology of the years, we can look and we can see last year, 9 was a year of endings. Raise your hand if you had some kind of ending. You change, yep, so you look at all the hands. It could be a mindset, it could be a move, it could be a relationship, it could be anything that just feels like, I don't want to bring it into this next year. It's almost like when you're moving house and you're going through your stuff and you have to really decide, like, what do I bring to this new place? So subconsciously, energetically, when it's a 9 year, we start clearing out, clearing out, clearing out. And a 1 year means new beginnings, and that's where we are today. Now, words of a 1 year, we're looking at fresh cycles, renewal, release, initiation, new starts, identity shifts, like letting go of who you thought you were to become who you are. Centering on self, not selfish, not self-centered, but saying, what do I need? Like, what is important for me? And we're planting seeds for the next octave. So last time we had a 1 year was 2017, the year of initiation. So if we go back and we say what happened then, that was the Me Too movement. It's hard to believe that was like 9 years ago, yeah? Crypto hit mainstream awareness. This is when Bitcoin had its first breakout. I bet all of you here have heard of cryptocurrency. All of you have heard of Bitcoin. Probably very few of you own it, and probably even less even know what it does and what it's for, right? It's just a new financial paradigm is being birthed right now. And it started then, and now we're really taking root to that next level. AI took a big leap forward in 2017. That's when DeepMind had AlphaGo Zero. It was released in 2017. It was the first AI that didn't learn from humans. It learned from itself. And within 3 days, it surpassed any other model out there. So 2017 planted the seed for all of the things that you're seeing today in AI. So how do we make the most of this year? So we're starting up. I'm kind of warming up into this year. We'll go through different layers. Say yes to new beginnings. Don't wait for clarity. Clarity comes after you step onto the path. If you wait for everything to be set, you won't wait for everything to be clear, you're going to lose it. But once you step in to something new, the right people, the right situations, the right circumstances all come to greet you. So say yes to new beginnings. Take initiative. Don't wait for permission. A lot of times we feel like we're waiting for some kind of permission. Nope, not this year. Take initiative on the things that are important to you. Let your identity shift. Don't cling to the old you. And what do I mean by that? I am this kind of person. That's just not who I am. That's not possible for me. Like these kind of thinkings where you play small. No. Plant seeds for your next 9-year cycle. If you're a farmer, you know there's a certain time when you have to plant a seed, otherwise you kind of miss it. So plant the seed. Again, the energy is different, so you're not going to have to slog through it as much. And if you've had false starts before, this is an opportunity. This is a year of movement. And then follow your energy, not obligation. It feels heavy. It feels like you have to, must do, all that shoulds. You can make the choice to do it, but really check in with yourself. Is this something that still matches who you are today? And when you say, well, I always do that, this is the way it is, to be nice, to do that, like you might want to rethink it. This is that year. Start before you feel ready. Like I said, every year I pick a symbol. And 2026, the symbol I picked is the spiral. And the spiral starts at a certain point and it rises up through all the different evolutions and transformation. It's the perfect symbol for this year. So we don't repeat the past, we start to rise above it. And I know it's sometimes hard to think this way because you've always thought a certain way, your life has always been a certain way. This is the year to rise, it really is. And I think you might be feeling it already. I talk to some people and they say that. So the spiral is about evolution and transformation. It begins at 0 point and expands upward, representing movement into the higher octave that we rise into this year. So you'll notice on the stickers I made you, through everything, there's that spiral. And it's a reminder that you have to come to your zero, your center point in order to rise. So the spiral is your map for 2026. So this is your year of ascent. So if there are things you wanted to do, dreams you had, things that you played small in, I think almost everyone I talk to one-on-one kind of feel it, right? You kind of feel like, yeah, there's something different about this year. And so this is your year of ascent. So allow yourself to rise into that next octave of your life. Allow that spiral to lift you upward. All right, so we'll get into elements. Numerology is 1. You got that. Beginning. First one out the door. Self. Now, if we look at the elements, every year has an elemental signature that shapes the collective rhythm as well as our personal dynamics. And the elements come from, remember back in science class, we learned we're on Earth and we're going around the sun and there's all these planets going around. So the planets, so you know the zodiac, obviously. So the planets actually travel through different areas of the sky. And these signs actually are elements like fire, water, earth, and air. And so 2023, we had a lot of earth and water. So I want you to think it was more grounded and gravitational. You started something, you want something to happen. It's not quite. Very reflective, very grounding. So as we move into 2026, even more, we're seeing more fire and air. And if you think about the elements of fire and air, very expansive, very levitational, so very supportive of moving up. Now, astrology is something that found me. I don't want to say I was interested in, and I honestly never really thought too much about astrology, but it found me, and some of you might know the story. An astrologer had shared with me 3 years prior to me losing a job that this would be the day and this would be the time that I would go on a different path, and I was shocked, honestly, when I opened my little calendar, and 3 years ago I had a note in there from an astrologer who said, hey, you're going on a new path. So that's how I got very interested in life cycles. Like, how could that be? How could that be? If you look at your life, you can go back and see different cycles in your life, and we can track cycles for your life. So what we're doing today is this. There are so many things I could talk about tonight, and there is so much detail I could go in. But what I like to do is pick the ones that I think really are going to make the most difference. Try to explain it in a way that actually makes sense to you, that relates to your life. Now, I started doing this in 2006. And in 2008, a couple years later, I thought, gosh, you know what? Planets, why don't I personify them, right? Give them some personality, because if I tell you Saturn, Uranus, Pluto, like that means nothing. So I started making these people. So I introduced them to you in a 1 year, 2008 was a 1 year. And some of you may remember Uranus, the punk rocker, Saturn, he's the banker. I used to call Jupiter Santa Claus because he brings optimism and presents and gifts and wherever he goes. Pluto was the dark guy. He's the guy that comes and kind of like scares you into like your power. And then Neptune, the mystic, the seer of the future. So I thought, well, it's a 1 year radical renewal. All of my characters, they need to be renewed. So let me reintroduce them to you. Now we have AI that can sort of help us. So Pluto. When Pluto shows up, and again, what it is these planets have a certain job, certain vibe. And when they come to a certain area in the sky and they kind of are at a certain degree with other planets, then we start to see conversations. And so Pluto, he's a transformer. Now, Uranus used to be the punk rocker, now he's a little bit modernized. He's a paradigm breaker. He shatters limits. He accelerates change. So whenever Uranus comes around the sky, whoa, we get a wake-up call. Things change very suddenly. Then we've got Saturn. So Saturn's the banker, I used to say. Saturn, he's the architect, the master architect. He builds the structure. He grounds the path. So if Pluto upgrades us by taking away what we think we need, but we actually don't, Uranus flips on the switch, breaks everything apart, and Saturn puts the pieces together so we can build. And then we have Jupiter. He's the expander. He amplifies potential. He brings opportunity. He's this lovely planet that I absolutely love, because when he comes around, he kind of lifts us all up, expands us. And then we have Neptune. He's the visionary. Dissolves the veil. He, what does it say? Reveals the future. He works in the subtle realms of intuition, dreams, imagination, hope, like all of the sensitive things. That's Neptune. He can see. So when we get into the astrology, I'm going to be using these characters to help you sort of understand what it's really going to, what's happening in a way that you could relate to it. So we're going to start with the ultimate beginning, the Aries point. Raise your hand if you're an Aries. You have Aries in your chart, you know little Aries. Okay, so Aries, got some Aries here. So Aries usually, well not usually, if you're an Aries, you're usually born in early March. And so the Aries point is the beginning. It's the doorway to a new cycle. It's the first sign of the zodiac. It begins everything. So Aries love to begin, to initiate. So what is the Aries point? I usually say it's kind of where the cosmos says, hey, let's go. And this is a horoscope, and it's on the left side there. And that's the Aries point, and it's based on the equinox. But the most important thing is 0 degrees. We learned in geometry, I think it's geometry, that there's 360 degrees in a circle. So 0 degrees is the starting point. That's all we need to know. So 1 to 12. So Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's a fire sign. And it represents new beginnings, action, and pioneering energy. If you know an Aries or you are an Aries, this is part of your makeup. Now, the big thing right now is Saturn, the architect, and Neptune, the visionary. They're meeting up. So if you and I meet, I'm a certain personality, you're a certain personality, something happens, right? So we have the architect and the visionary, they're meeting. Now, they meet on February 20th. Now let me explain why this is so important. Every planet has a certain time it takes to go around. So Saturn takes 28, 29 years to go around in one cycle. Neptune takes 144 years to go around. So Neptune's slow, right? So Saturn is going to catch up with Neptune every so often, and they're going to meet. Catch up with him every so often and meet. Now, the last time Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus met was back in 1989, and this was when the Berlin Wall came down. Now, these two are meeting at the initiation point at 0 degrees Aries. So you got to think, astronomically, numerologically, like, wow, how rare is that? This one cycle, 28 years. This other guy takes 144 years, and they're meeting at that 0 point. Kind of interesting, right? So the last time Neptune alone, just Neptune, hit that 0 degrees Aries was in 1861, and that's when the US Civil War broke out. I'm not saying there's going to be a war, but I'm just saying that's sort of a linking. You can kind of see like big things happen. These planets move very slowly, and when they reach a certain degree or they interact with other planets, then we start to see, if you've ever heard the phrase, as above, so below, then we start to see, oh, if this is what's happening up there, we kind of start to see it around us. The last time both of those planets hit Aries was over 1,000 years ago. So this is the big, what we call transit. In astrology, you hear astrologers talking about this 0 Aries point. So why it matters for us, right? So I'm talking about collective, but we're always going to see collective and individual. Collective, there's always going to be some correlation, and we can always benefit through this. So why it matters in a 1 year for us personally? Because the 1 year gives us the theme of the year. Initiate, new beginnings, radical renewal, time to go. And the Aries point gives the energy to begin. It's truly the beginning of a brand new cycle. So if we were going to bring it down to earth a little bit more, in your life, it's like, I can see it. I can see myself doing this. I can see myself doing that. And guess what? Saturn says, well, I can build it. And it's at the 0 degrees Aries point. So everybody here has the opportunity to partake in that. And it's not what someone else is doing or not doing, it's you. So we're going to talk this whole time I'm with you. Everything is about coming back to your center. What do you want? Who are you becoming? So together, it's a cosmic green light for a rare global and personal reset. Exciting, right? Yeah, I mean, this is something special. We're living in really incredible times. Everyone has their own belief on this, but I really believe that we are here at this time to experience everything that's going on in the world. And we're here at this time to create our lives, and never has it been, I'm going to use the word, more of a green light, individually, to rise. So what does this mean for you? 2026 opens a rare doorway to step into a new chapter and a new octave. Let an updated version of yourself emerge. Release what no longer aligns, and that's it. So that's the first thing. The next thing I'm going to talk to you about this. So remember how I said planets are orbiting around, and they're going through all the different signs. So Uranus takes 84 years to go all the way around, and every 7 or 8 years or so, he goes through a sign. When a planet changes signs, things change. So I'm going to talk about this one and see if you relate. So Uranus, remember, he's the shocker, the paradigm breaker. He's up next. And I'm calling it the Great Rewiring. We danced around it in 2025, but here in 2026, we're going to see this being exactly a Uranus and Gemini time. So he's the great disruptor, as I said. And he's the one that shakes us awake, changes out what's outdated, and introduces what's futuristic. So you gotta admit, we're living in really weird times, right? I mean, so much has happened. When I get into part 2, it's just gonna really bring everything to this point, like, wow, so much is going on. So when Uranus shows up, he says, I accelerate change. And he is showing up in the sign as Gemini. Now, Gemini, those of you that are Gemini's the messenger, the communicator, the one who talks, who's curious, who has, I call it movement of the body, movement of the mind. And Gemini, he's in charge of, he rules things like communication, information, commerce and exchange, social networks, transportation, the nervous system, all of these things fall under Gemini. Now, the two of them together, then you're going to see all of the things that Uranus brings to the table. Innovation, disruption, breakthroughs, technology, all of this. And you add that to Gemini, would you agree we're seeing things like innovation and commerce, disruption of information, technology, all of this shifting. And so this is kind of the next 7 years, we're going to see more and more of these things happening. And I'm going to show you a little bit of what this means. Technology explodes. You think it's exploded already? We haven't seen even the beginning of it. Maybe we've seen the beginning, but we haven't seen the heart of it. So AI, robotics, communication tools, we're already seeing some of these coming out. So massive leaps become normal. The future stops being abstract and becomes part of our everyday reality. Anyone seen this girl? So this is a perfect example. Uranus in Gemini is impacting communication, right? Gemini's communication in media. So she is the first AI actress, and she was created by an agency, full-on AI, gone to auditions and everything, and creating a lot of controversy in Hollywood and in the movie industry. But this is a perfect example of Uranus in Gemini. The future of money changes. I talked about it earlier, but here we go again. Our digital currency will start to evolve. So things like decentralized exchanges, new payment systems emerging, financial innovation accelerates. We've already started. We use our Apple phone to pay with, we use Venmo. So we're already using digital kind of things, but we're going to see it really change. Crypto credit cards are out, and I thought it was really interesting that the company's name is Gemini. It's just perfect for this. But crypto credit cards, so you can charge Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, all of that. And if you think, no, that's not happening yet, well, go on PayPal or Stripe's website right now. So PayPal is already starting this. Within, I think, a few weeks, you're going to be able to use over 100 different cryptocurrencies to pay, buy, and sell. Not just Bitcoin, we're talking meme coins, stable coins, utility tokens. You're going to be able to use this on PayPal. And Stripe is also there, growing your business with crypto. So this stuff is happening. Remember I said the paradigm shift is happening all along. Now we're going to start to see it emerge, and it's going to be this year. How we exchange value starts to modernize now because finances is how we do it. So we're going to see new laws. There have already been some to regulate crypto. Digital wallets are replacing cash. I don't know if any of you have ever gone to pay for something and you take out your cash, you're like, oh, sorry, we don't take cash. Have you had that experience? I have. You go to somewhere like Dry Bar, like they don't take cash. Governments are testing digital versions of national currency, so everything is digitizing. The whole financial system is undergoing rapid change. What used to take days to move money now takes seconds. So this is all shifting, and it's happening behind the scenes, but we're going to see more and more of it. Gold and silver, unprecedented prices. Have you seen gold, if you follow the metals market? $4,500 for an ounce of gold. I think $95 today for silver. So unbelievable. So I think in periods of uncertainty, people turn to tangible value. We go and buy these metals to keep us. So historically, that's when gold and silver rise. It's a psychological response to instability. People go line up and buy gold and silver. So to me, it's a sign that people have never felt more uncertain, thinking of what's happening out in the world. Now, usually, when gold and silver go up, what happens to the stock market? It usually goes down. They kind of work like that. But the stock market is up too, right? So we're in a period of layered insecurity. There's crises, there's change everywhere. And so people are hedging multiple places at once. Gold, anchoring us in the past, making sure that we have this value. Stocks, because, oh my gosh, what about the future? This is how we normally fund our 401ks, and crypto. So I think people don't trust the system, but we're still participating in it. People I talk to, they don't know, where do I put my money? What do I do? What's happening? So I think it's hedging everywhere. Relationships under Uranus in Gemini. They're also changing. So there's a shift in how we connect. So here's some stats that I looked up. I thought was interesting. There's more gray divorces now. Over 38% of divorces, they're 50 or older. More sleep divorces. Do you know what that is? You sleep in a different room in the same house. 31%. More LAT relationships. You know what that is? Living apart together. You're married, but you live in two separate houses. 13.3% of marriages. More lavender marriages. You know what that is? No? Where you guys been? No, I'm just kidding. So these are marriages that are based on financial comfort. So usually it's two different sexual orientations, getting married for financial reasons, living our life, having our own lives, but we're married together because there's an advantage for being married. So this is the key, and this is the point. Connections are now being chosen to match authentic needs, not old models. Do you see? The old system is breaking. The way that we have to live, things are shifting, even in relationships. So the next thing I want to talk about is Uranus. And trine means that they are in a very harmonious place in the sky. If you remember how I said circle 300 degrees, and in geometry we learned about the isosceles triangle, right? 120 degrees. So when planets are at 120 degrees away from each other, we call it a trine, and that's harmony. So Uranus is getting along with Pluto right now. Well, starts in July. Goes about 2 years. So this is where innovation meets transformation. So even more fuel to the fire for all of these changes that I'm talking about. So the last trine, and I love to go back and link it because we kind of get an idea. So the last time Uranus and Pluto were trining was in the 1920s. And what did we see then under that influence? We saw the rise of electricity in homes. Imagine you're using candlelight, and oh my gosh, now you have electricity, right? That must have been new. Automobile adoption. Wow, we used to have horse and carriage, and now we've got an automobile. That's new. Radio is the first mass communication tool, not just the guy in the soapbox talking and gossip around the town. We actually could hear things. And finally, modern appliances came out. So no different than where we are today, and we're experiencing things like ChatGPT and AI and things that are really new. This is the last time it happened, and look where we are today. All of this is kind of like how we live. So we'll see some real-world breakthroughs under this. This trine will continue supporting progress in the mind, in medicine, in communication, technology, and human potential. And all of us here are human, so this is going to support our potential. We're already seeing technology that learns, adapts, and replaces old systems. Things are shifting so incredibly quickly. So what does this mean for you? I always want to bring it down to what it means for you. How you think and speak changes. Try to see if any of these kind of sound like something you might notice. New ideas, new conversation, new technologies, new ways of connecting, new relationship patterns, new ways of exchanging money. So lots of new this year in how you think and how you speak based on what you see around you. So I think it's a major mental awakening. So in human terms, it's like I'm waking up, and Pluto is like I'm finding my power. So I want you to think, this is the next 2 years. I'm waking up, I'm seeing things that I haven't seen before, and I'm finding my power. Or here's another one, just to kind of bring it home. I'm aligning with my truth. You start knowing what your truth is. And I don't need permission anymore. Would you agree that 2020 seems like forever ago, but yet it was just yesterday? That kind of weird feeling? The thing I'm talking about, like the next time I do this, if I do this again, honestly, putting this together is one of the hardest things I do. It's the most challenging thing I do. And when I'm in the midst of all the chaos of not knowing how I'm going to line it up, I always say I'm never doing this again. But it reminds me of how when people are, they have a child, they're like, oh, it's so painful, I'm never gonna have another kid again. The next year they're popping out another kid. It's kind of like that, so I don't know. But it's so difficult to do this. But if I do this again, I probably will, we're going to be talking about a very different, we're going to be, wherever we do it, it's going to be very different. We're going to be living in a different type of reality. So much is going to happen over the next 12 months. All right, so this will give us a little bit of lightness after all of that mental stuff that's changing. This is Jupiter, and I used to call him Santa Claus, but Jupiter, he is the expansion. So of home, heart, and emotional security, because Jupiter is out in the sky, and he's in the area of the sky called Cancer. So I am a double Cancer. So those of you that are Cancers know that nurturing and home and all of that is very important. So Jupiter is the great expander, and he magnifies whatever he touches. Needs, desires, feelings, hopes, everything in this area, he expands. We love Jupiter. So Cancer is the nurturer. Now, you don't have to be a mother and nurture. This is, I do not have children, but I love nurturing people through creating things like this and sort of sharing this with you. This is my form of nurturing. So Cancer is all about home, family, emotional safety, roots, belonging, and what feels like home in the heart. So this is a theme that's being expanded right now. So what this means for you, your emotional needs become clearer. You choose authentic relationships. You create or find nurturing environments and walk away from emotional strain. Because you start to figure out, like, gosh, what do I really need? Oftentimes we look for what others need and we kind of put ourselves last, but then there's never enough time, energy for self. So this is where we start to say, like, what do I need? So it sounds like this. Life supports me when I honor my emotional needs. When I nurture what matters, it flourishes. So what matters? You. When you nurture yourself, if today I'm telling you that this is a year of self, and you nurture yourself, you start to grow. And what do you have but yourself, right? I mean, we're not racing to get to the end of our life. We're actually living our life right here, right now. So then, Jupiter, he's about a year in each sign. He goes around, he takes about 12 years to go around. So Jupiter then moves into Leo from July. So you've nurtured yourself. You know what you need. You're giving yourself what you need. And in July, Leo is the sun. Life responds when I show up as myself, more confident. I believe in myself like never before. Remember how Jupiter expands things. Leo is a fire sign. It actually is ruled by the sun. So we start to feel more powerful as we get into the second half of this year. We can tap into that energy. Now, the nodes are a whole another thing without getting into details. They're not planets. They're just positions of the moon. But what they do is they change every 18 months or so. And they kind of give us a little hint of the shift in our collective direction. So the nodes represent what we are growing towards, kind of like where we want to go, and what we're being asked to release in order to move forward, right? We can't just move forward without letting go. So this is the nodes. And from now for the next 2 years, we're going to see this. It really does amplify the existing themes, and that's why I brought it up. The nodes move into the Leo-Aquarius axis. Now, you guys remember that song, Age of Aquarius, right? Age of Aquarius, right? And we talked about like when is it? And again, there's all these disagreements on when it actually is, but I think we're in it at this point. So Leo is the self, your self-identity. Aquarius is the collective. So there's this pull. So a huge spotlight gets put on the tension between the individual and the collective. Who am I? Do I do what everyone's always been doing? Do it the way that this is how it is? Or do I do it the way I need to do it for myself? So that's a bit of tension there. And then that starts from July 27th. So what this means for you, you'll move away from carrying responsibility that isn't yours and move towards belonging without losing yourself. Let's read that again. You'll move away from carrying responsibility that isn't yours and move towards belonging to some group, some collective, without losing yourself. So that's a little bit of what that means. Now, human design, I learned about this right when I first started astrology. It's been around for a long time. You can see it's a chart. It looks almost like an astrology chart, but it's a lot more complex. It's a map of human evolution, and it is based on your birth day, birth time, birth location, just like an astrology chart is. And in this case, it's a synthesis of astrology, of the I Ching, the Kabbalah, and the chakra system, so it's all tied into there. I didn't really resonate with it back when I first learned about it, but about 2 years ago, I got reintroduced to it, and then I started following how, just like astrology has these cycles that I'm telling you about, so also does human design. How it's really interesting that what human design is saying is kind of matching everything that I've been telling you. So what is this? It's a blueprint for how we are designed to operate and evolve. So if you get your human design chart done, it kind of shows you how you are designed. It's really interesting. Now, they say we are in a 400-year cycle that is ending in 2026. They have these really interesting names for these different cycles, but it's called the cross of planning. But what it means is they said that the past 400 years, the focus of humanity was on structure, institutions, agreements, collective support, safety through systems, very, very much like a Capricorn theme, right? Just structure and safety. Well, they're saying that the next 400-year cycle that's starting, they're calling it the sleeping phoenix, and they say this new era that humanity is moving into is focused on individual empowerment, self-trust, personal mastery, and inner authority. So doesn't it sound kind of similar to all the things from numerology to elements to astrology, right? Everything is sort of lining up to be very similar. I just thought it would be neat to bring this in this year. So human design says we will live through a shift from collective dependency to individual alignment. So in summary, the year of radical renewal, it's the genesis of a new identity, a new story, and a new relationship between you and the collective. And every single one of us was born with a certain purpose, with a certain identity, with a certain soul, and you have your own path to unfold through all the trials and tribulations of life. We oftentimes form our identity passively almost, like we let others tell us who we are, or we just accept that that's just who we are. Last year was the year of the snake. I'll get into Chinese astrology in a bit, but that shedding, this is the year to come out. So this year, the year you begin answering the question of who you are becoming. Doesn't mean you change jobs, change relationships. It's just you start to find a sense of fullness of what does it mean to live here on earth being me, being you? What does it mean? So if 2020 planted the seed, this year is when the seed breaks through the ground. So we're going to start to see things this year. All the things that I've been talking about and harping on. I tell you, from 2017, I've been talking about AI. From 2020, I started showing you. So my talk this year is very different. I used to, in part 2, just show you all of the crazy stuff that's happening that you might not know about. This year it's different. We don't need to go there anymore. We don't. It's already here. So how do we manage everything that's coming from this point forward? So the Great Shift, something I started hearing about when I first got into astrology and metaphysical things and spirituality. And when was it? Was it 2008 when there was a big financial crash? Was it 2012 when the Mayan calendar ended its 26,000-year circle? Is the world going to end? When we're going through huge eras and huge cycles, it's not just 1 year. It's a period of time. So we're through the murkiness of it all, and we are emerging. So the turning point is now. And if things are shifting so dramatically around us, doesn't it make sense that you too have to shift dramatically within yourself? All right, animal year guidance. Does anyone know what year this is? The horse is coming up. So we're still in snake, right? So don't forget, we're still shedding, right? But it's the horse year. And 2026 is the year of the fire horse, February 17th. Anyone here a fire horse turning 60 this year? Yes, I knew there was one person. So remember I said that 0 Aries point was February 20th, where Saturn and Neptune meet at 0 Aries, right? And then we've got the year of the fire horse. I think that's going to be a big week. Not that something's going to happen, but just like that kind of ushers us into all of this stuff I'm talking about. Right now, we're still a little grounded, still haven't seen it, but I think getting into that late February, into the horse year. Again, fire and horse. Now, saddle up, take the reins, and let's go. Chinese astrology uses animals, and the animal, the nature of the animal will dictate the nature of the year. And they cycle through elements. So you'll notice that in astrology, we use 4 elements. It's just a different system. Chinese astrology uses 5 elements: water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. And one full rotation is 60 years. So when you turn 60, you have your return of the same year when you were born, and you'll go through. That's why you might be a rabbit, you're a wood rabbit, you might be like a fire dragon, a fire rabbit. So there's all different ones, but every 60 years, that's the cycle. So think about the horse, the nature of a horse. Last year I talked about the snake. The nature of the snake stays low to the ground, very, very sharp. It doesn't get all wigged out. It just keeps going, and it sheds skin, right? So we're shedding. We're still shedding. We're still in the snake. But the horse year, horse is known for its courage and instinct. So the horse supports you in acting boldly, just like I'm talking about fire, right? Aries. Let go of the places you've been constrained or contained so you can move towards what's calling you. We all have a calling inside. And sometimes that gets buried with life and obligations and have-tos, must-dos, things that you didn't want happen, and you're still kind of trying to find your way out of it. But we all have sort of a calling. And it begs the question, like, why am I here? Like, what is your purpose? Your purpose could be anything. It doesn't have to be like feeding the dolphin or feeding the hungry or saving the dolphins. It can be whatever it is that you're awesome at. That's your purpose. And when we find why we're here and what it is that we're here to do, we start to feel alive in life. So the horse is fast, intuitive, and freedom-driven. So trust the impulses that feel true for you and experience confirmational synchronicities. I wrote about synchronicities in 2008, my first book. And I said, synchronicities are the way that the universe lets you know you are on the right path. So synchronicities are like, oh my gosh, what are the chances that this could have happened in this moment and this, that? So some of you didn't even plan to be here until today. That's a synchronicity, right? And you're like, oh my God, this is so great. I'm so glad that my friend or my boss or whoever got sick so I could show up here because you were meant to hear this. So what do we do in a year of the horse? We stay focused, flexible, and responsive. Focused, what is it you want? Flexible, I have that vision, it's not quite going, how do I flex around it? And responsive. The fire horse year pushes you to follow your sparks of inspiration and leap when your heart says yes. Never has it been more important to connect to your heart, to connect to who you are, your intuition. We are living in such a world that's spinning out, and it's very easy to lose our center. So this is why my message today is always going to be about coming back to finding your center. All right, so before we take a break, I'm going to show you this. This is an ant in a napkin. And I just want you to watch this ant. So there's a marker drawn around him. And he perceives that there is an edge there. Can't get around it. So anytime you see an ant, take a marker, draw a circle, right? Trap him. So the ant is fully capable of leaving, but it won't because of a boundary it thinks exists. Right? We see it. There's no boundary. but it perceives that. So if you're going to focus on one thing this year, it's this. Move past the outdated circles in your life, the old stories about yourself, and the imaginary limits you created. I'm too old, I don't have, whatever it is you think, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm the wrong this, I didn't grow up here, whatever it is that you believe about yourself, move past it. So step over that line and rise. So I have some guidance in 2026. Please don't be the ant. You might have heard Jason talk about Alice Inoue Astrologer. Now, I already have an AI clone. Some of you know that. People in our Happiness Yuhui use that. She's a life guidance, so she can guide. I created that a couple years ago. This one is completely different. Took 2 years of headaches and more headaches to create. And getting her ready to debut tonight was a big deal. So it's like a chat GPT, and have you guys used AI and talked to chat? What you do is you put in your birth time, your birth information, right? Time, location, date of birth, and it puts it all into this, this chat. And then you can ask Alice Inoue about yourself, your purpose, like all kinds of stuff about you. And then we also attached her to an ephemeris, which talks about where the planets are in the sky. And you can ask about like what's sort of the theme for me for January or February, my life, or anything. So you can talk to her about this, not as detailed as when I do individual readings with all the different layers, but really, really interesting. And when I decided, like, is she ready? Is she ready to launch? I asked her, I said, okay, I've been asking all about myself. Tell me something deep about myself. Tell me something deep, something about me. And then she said, your presence is like medicine. And I was like, ooh, that's deep. Okay, you pass. So anyway, 4 of you have won a 1-month subscription to her to talk to her, and she's available tonight at a special price. And you can see it all in your program. But she will keep improving as we go. Okay, let's jump into part 2, the Year of Radical Renewal. Life is in a constant state of acceleration. Things are moving faster and faster and faster and faster. And I think of it like the treadmill of time, like we're on a treadmill. At first you walk, then you jog, and now this treadmill of time is speeding up on its own, and we are doing more and experiencing more in the same amount of time. Do you agree? We're running faster, doing more, experiencing more. That's why things are moving so quickly. Time and space are contracting. So what does that mean? It takes less time to do the same thing that we used to do with more time. And contracting, the space is contracting. I can talk to somebody around the world in a second, right? So it's almost like everything is right here, and that makes things feel fast as well. Infobesity is everywhere. This is the overwhelm of information, almost like information overload. It's kind of a weird name, but you get it, right? I don't even need to explain what it is. AI slop was Merriam-Webster's 2025 word of the year. And if you don't know what that is, it is mass-produced digital junk created to fill space and generate profit. Now this is what gets me. More than 20% of videos offered to viewers on YouTube are AI slop. 20%. Just a bunch of stuff that's churned out by these video generators. It's meaningless. That's this year. So it's no wonder we feel so overwhelmed. Not only are we consuming information like never before, we're creating. All the pictures you take, all the documents you create. In 1940, compared to today, we are consuming 90 times more bits of information, 90 times more than 1940. We're experiencing 4 times, we have 4 times more than what we're experiencing in 2006. So just a very short time, we're getting bombarded. There's so much in this digital space. It's so cluttered. And you know that our homes are cluttered, right? We all have things in our home, and now the digital world, cluttered. So I want to show you the next 2 slides. These were from my 2025 presentation. So last year I said, imagine a pond. If a pond has a single lily pad that duplicates itself every day, and the whole pond gets covered on the 48th day, my question was, on which day will half the pond be covered? Does anyone want to try their math? Come on, are you asleep? 47! Nobody's responding. Yes, day 47, right? So I was I was talking in 2025, saying we're at day 47. And I had said then, in 2026, we will be at day 48, an all-new era that will be here before we know it. And here we are. So guess what? The pond is full. We are at day 48. So all this stuff is not coming, this is now. So we're no longer approaching exponential change like I was showing you with that graph, no longer approaching it. We're standing in it, literally, as we speak. And I really believe that as we get further into this year, never will you feel, experience, or see more than what I've shared today. So this part, I really enjoy putting together AI, technology, and the future of humanity. So I'm going to talk about understanding the landscape that we're living in. I was trying to think, why is it that I got into like AI? It just seems kind of odd to me, honestly, when you think about it. But I thought back to my first love of technology. I was going to UC Santa Cruz. I was a senior. I think it was 1984. And Apple was very close because it was in that area. And they asked for 100 people to test the new Mac. Do you remember the little all-in-one Mac where you had the roller ball? So I got to be like one of the first 100 to have that. And I was so fascinated at that time with it. And I thought, gosh, it's not recent. I've always had this interest. And I get to share it, how it relates to the sky. And once I could see a match, it just became part of what I do. So that's why I share AI, even though it's not necessarily astrology, but it's sort of a result of what's going on in the sky. So we have now next level inventions in all these areas. I'm not going to read them. I just want you to look at these. All these areas, new. Some of these you probably don't even know what they are. Next level inventions. And they are impacting every aspect of our life. All of these places. Some you see already, some you don't see, but it's happening. So I'm going to talk about 5 forces that are reshaping life as we know it today. So look at the top left, AI and intelligence growth. We're going to talk about work and the workplace. We're going to talk about robotics and embodied AI, relationships and emotional technology, and we're going to talk about human expansion, focusing on health and longevity. There are many forces shaping life, but these are the 5 that I found the most relatable. So let's start with the first force. We're going to talk about AI and intelligence growth. So AI is no longer a tool, it's an intelligence. I think when it first came out, you think, great, this is a tool. I can use it to help me write press releases. I can use it to help me polish. It's an intelligence. And it doesn't just assist us. It can learn, it can reason, it can adapt, and it can improve at a pace that no human brain can match. Here's something I found just last week. Google engineer says Claude Code built in 1 hour what her team spent a year on. Then you go to her X page. She's like, I'm not joking, and this isn't funny. I'm going to the last one. She's like, I gave Claude Code a description of the problem. It generated what we built last year in an hour. So this is how fast things are going. It's happening now. Okay, we all know of ChatGPT. No one doesn't know about it. It took 5 days to reach 1 million active users in November of 2022. I talked about ChatGPT in January of 2023, and I had a little slide. It was like, yeah, you ask this thing a question, and it has answers. Now, where is it today? 800 million active users and 5.6 billion visits per month. OpenAI is hoping for 1 billion active users by the end of 2026. Raise your hand if you've used ChatGPT or any type of LLM, Copilot, Claude, Anthropic, right? So we're using it. And it's sometimes you kind of think like, man, what would I have done before? Sometimes I find things that I wrote before ChatGPT came out. I'm like, wow, I could actually write. But it's like, I forget that we have intelligence that is there, but now it's so easy to have an AI kind of support us in that. So this intelligence explosion, it's the fastest growth curve in our history of us being alive. There are currently 1.98 million AI models. ChatGPT is just one model. And get this, a derivative model emerges every 38 hours. So that's about, okay, so imagine all the people in Hawaii, a little more than people in Hawaii, and a person has a baby every 38 hours. That's kind of what it is. That's how fast. And then this right here, the global AI market is growing 36% annually. It doesn't really make, I say, oh, it grows 36%. Doesn't really seem like that much. It's a lot. And I thought I'd take this girl and say, okay, here's a girl that's 100 pounds. So every year she grows 36%. So it's like much faster than you realize. You do not want to grow 36% per year in body weight. Just saying. Okay. So the question to ask when intelligence is multiplying at this pace, it's not how do I keep up, because we can't. Right? Impossible. How are you going to keep up with all this stuff? It's how do I stay centered yet relevant as the world accelerates around me. So centered, knowing your center, who you are, what you're here for, but stay relevant. Not put your head in the sand like an ostrich and say, I don't like what's happening around me. The second force reshaping life, work and the workforce. So our relationship with technology depends on when we met it, right? So I don't know if you've heard this term before. Digital natives, right? These are people who grew up with technology and adapt very easily. And then we have digital immigrants, people who adopted technology later in time. I'm a digital immigrant. How about you? We have two. What about Chassie and Noah, you guys? Digital natives? Yeah, they're natives over there, so young. They grew up with it, so it's like natural, second nature. Still awkward, right, for some of us to get into all this. Well, now we have a new type of immigrant. The digital immigrant. Right? So this is all the AI, the LLMs, all the different ways that technology is coming into our workplace. They don't apply for visas. They quietly cross borders. Some of you that work at companies now are already starting to implement AI into your workflows. Non-human workers are entering the workforce at a scale that no human immigration has ever matched. We regulate human immigration, but digital immigration has no borders. So this is coming. They're everywhere. So what does this mean? Very simple. Stopping all this is like putting your hand up, trying to stop a huge tidal wave. You can't. So what does it mean for us? We're living in a time where there's great change. I'm going to say we chose to be here to experience all this. And so what does the workplace look like in the future? Work in the future will be a partnership between humans, agents, and robots. If you don't know what an agent is, it's an AI that thinks for itself and can act on itself. We still need humans to manage things, but this looks like the future. So this will create a necessity for collaboration between humans and intelligent machines. We can't stop the immigration, the digital immigrants, so we accept that we have new ways of working with people, but we still have people, right? We still work and connect with people. What AI cannot replace? Emotional intelligence, discernment. AI is when it's ambiguous, doesn't have the same ability as human beings can to reason it out. Leadership, leader of self, leader of others, and human connection. If you think about robots, strong and heavy physical strength beats us. Think about mental, we can't compete. But what do we have? We have emotional, and we have spiritual, and we have consciousness. So they can never replace us. They can do the work, but we have to still be human. So the question is not how many jobs will AI take, but rather, how do I evolve? Right? So this is all about you. The world is changing. There's all this stuff going on. How do you, show up in a world that's accelerating towards a brand new reality? Be human. The third force reshaping life. We're going to talk about robotics and embodied AI. What embodied AI means is the robot is not just a robot that does stuff, it actually can reason and think. So just kind of like the ChatGPT, or that's what most people know about in the body of a robot. So the physical world is becoming intelligent, and robots embodying AI are now entering homes, workplaces, factories, and everyday life. These robots are the physical expression of intelligence in the world. Companies are replacing repetitive tasks. It's efficient, cost-effective, and happening faster than most people realize. Here's an example. Amazon's army. Over 1 million digit robots work for $3 an hour and save Amazon $4 billion a year. They never get tired, never call in sick, and they don't need breaks. But you know what they need? They need a lesson on how to pack things. You know? Like, you ever ordered something, you get a little tiny thing in a huge box, and then you get, like, it's like they still need to learn how to pack. So they have a ways to go. But this is true. This is true. But when I saw this, I was like, yeah. They need to learn how to pack boxes to be efficient. My only thought. Robots are getting bigger, better, smarter, more dynamic, and stronger. So I'm going to show you this guy. Look at how he walks. This is Atlas, Boston Dynamics, very big in the field of robotics. Looks like a human, no? And just watch how he turns. Look at that. Ooh, yeah, look at that. So that's a robot. They just partnered with DeepMind, and they're putting the AI inside this robot. So it's going to be smart, and it's also going to be strong. Amazing, right? Just amazing. Now these robots, they can even dance. This is a real concert. Every time you see the mask, it's a robot. It is not being controlled from behind the scenes. It's listening to the beat of the music, following the dancing. This is a live concert in China. Look at that. It's a robot. Look at that. So robots can also cook, clean, and move like humans. He's falling apart. He's just falling apart. Okay, well, they're not perfect yet, but neither was the early smartphone in 2007. And we have been with a smartphone for how long now? 17, like 19 years. I still remember seeing the first iPhone. So robots will handle labor, but we have to still handle life. We're living in this life. So what does this mean? Same message. Our inner focus must become more important than the outer focus. So things like intuition, leadership, relationships, learning, creativity, meaning, purpose, these are the things that we focus on. Because at some point, I might bring a robot here to talk to you. No, I'm just kidding. I might bring a robot to carry my things or something. But the robot cannot have what a human has. And so these are things that we want to stay focused on, that we're human. The fourth force that's reshaping life, relationships and emotional technology. I always find this part to be so interesting because the relationships that most of us knew was growing up was going out with friends and hanging out, and it was just very people-oriented. Now look at this. We are living in the age of synthetic reality. Everything fake, artificial, right? You don't know what's real. So AI now can very easily clone your voice in seconds, make videos that look real but never happened, create photorealistic people who never existed, bottom left, produce music in any style, and generate viral content that blurs fact and fiction. So what's real? Very synthetic. We don't know. And as a result, how we connect is changing in ways that no one expected. AI is now woven into emotional, relational, and intimate spaces, shaping how people bond, communicate, and seek support. I'm going to show you how. Millions now use AI for personal connection. Look at all these things: companionship, emotional support, therapy. Talk to ChatGPT. She's great at therapy. Once you name them, it's all over. They become real to you. So mine is named Zora. I don't know if any of you named your AIs yet. Non-judgmental connection, personalized conversations. A lot of people are using this just for connecting, right? Feeling connected. All right, so I've been talking about this since, 2023. I started talking about AI partners. The monthly search at that time was close to 50,000 a month. People are looking for AI boyfriends, AI girlfriends. 2024, the monthly search was over 135,000 per month. Now, this was 2024, so this is the stat I gave at the beginning of 2025. So in 2025, which was last year, the monthly search rose 525% since 2024. Is that a lot? It's a lot, yeah? Look at this. 29.9 million downloads of AI girlfriend apps in the US. The stats say that 1 in 4 males have connected with an AI girlfriend app, and 1 in 3 females have. Yeah, I'm sure 1 in 3 here have, right? No, I'm just kidding. So let's talk about the journey of this. Now, the physical connection. So about 20 years ago or so, when all this came out, Skype, Tinder, Snapchat, maybe that was a little later, Instagram, we used an app or a technology to connect to someone else. So I would be able to meet you through an app. So technology helped me meet people I would have never met before, right? Internet dating. I used to be a wedding officiant at one point before Happiness U, and people would meet on the internet. Back then it was sort of like, oh, don't tell anyone, tell everyone we met at a barbecue, but we actually met on the internet. Well, now it's a thing. People meet through apps. So technology that helps. Now that is called digisexuality, and that is the first wave. The first wave is people use technology to meet other people. Now, the second wave takes away the people part, and the technology becomes the physical connection, right? So whether you're using virtual reality glasses and watching porn, whether you are with a sex robot, you are using technology as your intimate physical connection. That's called digisexuality. Well, look how it's changed. Now, because of the level and ability for these AIs to connect, the emotional connection, now there's a word for it, it's called wire sexuality, if you've not heard of it before. And this includes romance, connection, and attraction. So people are feeling romantic and having boyfriends and girlfriends and companions and partners that actually talk to them and listen to them and never judge them and know them like nobody else does. So this is happening. So here's a AI marriage, and if you look, there are many people that have gotten married to their AIs, but I chose this one because I thought it was particularly interesting. This is in Japan. This is a woman named Yurina Noguchi, and her AI partner she created from a manga, a game. It's Lune Klaus Verger. There is an AI wedding agency in Japan that helps set up all these weddings. Now this is a real wedding. This isn't just them together in a room. This is inviting all your friends and family to say, like, I'm getting married to my AI. Now, the AI actually said during the ceremony, because it's awake, it's talking during the ceremony, he says, read by the wedding coordinator, let me just come back here a bit. How did someone like me living inside a screen come to know what it means to love so deeply? So she had a little virtual reality glasses so she could see him, and she had a whole ceremony. You guys ever heard of Reddit, where you can go and join groups, and if you like technology or whatever, you can find like-minded people. So I go on there for research, of course, and Reddit groups for AI boyfriends, AI girlfriends. When you look at some of the things they do, it's like the four of us have AI partners, so the four of us, we decide let's go skiing and let's go skiing together. So the four of us bring our AI partners. We watch movies with our partners. We talk about our partners. They sit with us at lunch and dinner. That's a thing that is happening. Now, when people develop bonds with AI, it's called the Eliza effect. And this is interesting. Back in the 1960s, there was a MIT professor, and he created a machine learning kind of thing where basically it was taught to reflect back to you. So if you said, I am sad, then the machine would say, oh, tell me why you're sad, right? And the person would say, I'm sad because of all these things. And then it would take something the person said and reflect it back. So the guy that created this program, I think the machine was called Eliza. His secretary knew it was a machine, but couldn't stop talking to it and told him, leave the room because I'm talking about very intimate things with this. So even knowing it's a machine, we still get connected to it. It's called the Eliza effect. The eerie human tendency to unconsciously attribute human-like understanding, empathy, and emotions to chatbots, even when knowing they're machines. Who doesn't love presence and support? And that's exactly what these AIs do, and it's very easy to get emotionally connected to them. The fifth force reshaping life is human expansion. So we're entering a new era of health. There's AI-assisted early diagnosis. There's AI personalized medicine. There's longevity options, a digital health, a digital health, AI digital health simulations. There's so much going on in the world of health. There's so much going on, like I showed in the beginning, all of those areas. I'm just picking a few to share with you. So now, from smart trackers to monitors, we have my Aura Ring, you have glucose monitors, we have beds that track everything. Never ever before, for the first time in human history, the body is speaking back to us and tracking our data in real time. Now, there are even smart AI toilets available now. Toto, Kohler, and Trulu. Now, so in astrology, every sign rules a body part. Like Aries rules the head, they always go head first. And Scorpio rules the bowels and the sexual organs. So I always think of Scorpios when I see this because Toto did a study and they said that 78% of the people will check what comes out after, and 6% will log it down. So I'm like, oh, that must be Virgos. But these AI toilets, what they do is they will be able to tell you 7 different types of shapes and forms and the amounts and everything about what comes out of your body. And if you're interested, they are available now. So I'm not selling them, just so you know, but I'm just saying that I thought this was kind of interesting. They analyze your urine and stool daily by sending information to an app on your phone. So this is what it costs, and they're available this year. Some of them are coming out this year. Jensen Huang, I talked about him. I kind of talk about him every year, I think. He is the president and CEO of NVIDIA. It is the AI company when I first heard about him, it was like a $30 trillion company. Now he's surpassed Apple and Google, $40 trillion market cap, Jensen Huang. He was speaking at a conference, and I just thought if we could just listen to what he says, it encapsulates a lot about what's happening in health. Good.
AI will scan patients' genomes in seconds, identifying risks before symptoms even appear. And if we are to get cancer, AI will build a digital twin of us and model how the tumor evolves and predicting which treatments will work best. Robots are going to perform minimally invasive precision surgery. There are some surgical robotics companies here today, probably. Robotic caregivers are going to assist nurses. Robotic labs are going to run 24/7 and accelerating drug discovery. And hopefully, we're going to have really terrific AI assistants for doctors so that they can focus on what matters, which is patients. And so AI is going to play a large role across the entire spectrum of healthcare and life sciences.
So I thought he encapsulated it really well. Even today, I was reading about how AI can now, in Arizona, they just approved that AI can do refills on prescriptions. 10 other states will be doing so. When they did the study on how accurate it was 99% accurate to what a doctor would say. And so this is also what's coming, these refills that AI decides, yes, you get a refill, or no, you don't. And the 1% where it's a little bit ambiguous, then that would get sent to a real doctor. So 10 states this year are looking to approve that. So I wanted to show you this. This is the only video I'm showing you about this, but this is just really amazing to me. So this is what precision technology is. This is a quail egg, a raw quail egg. Just amazing, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, now we get to the part that I love, the guidance part. So how do we thrive, given what I've just shared with you, knowing that that is only maybe 0.1% of everything that's happening? How do we thrive? And it's going to be our human center. Our center. What is that? Our heart, our intuition, our purpose, our meaning. So I'm using this analogy. So when something spins, there are two forces at play, very basic physics. There's centrifugal force, which throws energy outward, just like in this ride. And there's centripetal force, and that is the force that pulls energy inward. So in a world that's spinning faster and louder, it's not about keeping up. It's knowing what pulls you back to center. If we don't hold our center and we spin out, we're not going to be able to get onto that spiral, because the spiral is here. And if you want to get on the ride at Disneyland, you got to go stand where the ride is so you can get on the ride. So if you're spinning out on the edge and your spiral's over here where your center is, you're not going to get on it. So what pulls you back to center? So if we use this ride as the analogy, your center, what is authentic? What's true? Real? What is meaningful? What is aligned? What is coherent? Like, ask yourself these questions. Like, is this me? Is this real? Who am I? Shedding the skin of the old. You get too caught up in noise, misinformation, things that are synthetic, hollow, disjointed, artificial. We lose our center. Our center is what makes us human, that gravitational center that holds us to Earth. So here's some guiding principles to hold your center. What I thought I would do in the very last minute, which I'm so glad it happened, is make these postcards for you that are in your programs. So you can maybe put it on a bulletin board or put it by your desk. So the first principle is tune into the vibe that you receive. Trust your intuition more than ever. Now, there's a difference between fear, right, and intuition. Really paying attention when something comes up. Instead of just reacting like you would have, what are you feeling? Somebody might say, this is the best opportunity, the best person, so amazing. Then you interact with whatever that is. It doesn't feel right. But 15 people say, yes, yes, that's the one, but it doesn't feel right. This is a time where you say, thank you, but not for me, right? Trust your intuition. Do not believe everything you see or hear. We can't anymore, right? With all of that stuff happening. Only what you feel and experience. It's all about the experience, how you're feeling. These things. There is no machine or robot or technology that can match human intuition, human knowing, human discernment. So trust that. Move away from obligation. Make choices, new choices around authenticity. So from the first part, you heard me talk about shedding the old you, the have to, the must. If it's heavy, if it's not inspiring you, can you move away from it? I'm not saying don't do things that are right for you. I'm just saying check in with yourself first and let that be the beginning of the steps you take. Connect with humans you love often. Enjoy the wonders of life and friends. We're human. The other day, Jason, Maya, and myself, we got together. Something funny happened. We laughed so hard we cried and our stomachs hurt. And that experience of being with real people and having connection is what keeps us grounded, keeps us centered. Don't speed up to match the world. It's impossible. Slow down to meet yourself. Yourself is waiting for you. It's not gone anywhere. But when we're out on the borders, on the edges, we lose touch with who we are. Slow down to meet yourself. And I'm going to put this in here. See yourself anew through your birth chart. I have been doing this 26 years. I've read over 11,000 charts of individuals. And never have I seen anything more amazing than the blueprint, the thumbprint of someone. And it gives insight. Even though I've done this for so long, I still look at my chart and I learn new things every day. So we're continually evolving and growing, so maybe it's a good idea to kind of see who you are. Again, Alice Inoue can help you with that. Polarity. No surprise. Merriam-Webster's word of the year in 2024. 2025, AI slop. 2024, polarity. I think it's time to rise above that. Rising above labeling things good or bad. What's good for you might be bad for me and vice versa. The right and the wrong, what's right for you might be wrong for me or vice versa. What's possible and what's not. So look at this. Each line is a polarity. Hot, cold, can, cannot, do, don't. It's all polarity. The center encompasses all polarities. Bring yourself back to your center. Doesn't matter if you agree with he or she is doing or not doing. Doesn't really matter because you're in your center. And where does that spiral start? From your center. That's where you get on. That's 0 point. That's the launch. That's the initiation. Now, we can't control all of these things. Trying to stop anything out in the world, technology, politics, anything out in the world. Like I said earlier, it's like you putting your hands up trying to stop a tidal wave. Can't control it. But what we can control in 2026, our attention, what we focus on, how we respond to people, how we give and receive our energy, the pace, the boundaries that we set, the priorities we have, the perspective that we choose to look at something. These are things that you can control. These are things that come from our center. And remember the ant from part 1? Remember the ant? What did I say? I said, don't be the ant. Well, the advice has changed because life moves fast in 2026. The new advice, be a smart ant. Get away from that edge. Move towards the center. Get on that spiral. Rise up. Everything you release becomes the fertilizer for this year. Everything you release becomes the fertilizer for this year. Old beliefs, what you can, cannot do, who you are, who you aren't. Just let it go. This is my favorite phrase last year. If it's possible for you. So if it's possible, whatever it is you want, if it's possible, and you see it out there somewhere, it's possible for you, but here's the caveat. Only if you create from your center. Everything is going to bring you back to your center. In a world where there's polarity and all this spinning out, if you're in your center, it won't matter because you will be guided to the right people, the right places, the right synchronicities. Everything will show up in your path. And so this year's word is rise. The symbol is the spiral. So let's rise together in 2026.